Cheers, and enjoy the beers.
Yes, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, hello and welcome once again to Rascal and Disco Beer Review with me, Disco, once again sitting in front of the cans and bottles here in the bar, where I'm still laughably calling the Disco Arms. Still haven't got the camera set up right. What can you do? What can you do? Well, what you can do is grab a beer and not worry about it. To be fair, it's Monday night. Who has a beer on a Monday night? Well, I do, because I haven't really got to go to work in the morning. As I say, Monday, Tuesday is kind of my weekend now, so I thought I'd have a few cheeky beers, see who's around, and see who's in. And if you're watching afterwards, after the event, thanks for coming back to the start and watching it from the beginning, if indeed you are. And have a great one. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Lots of Christmassy stuff, no doubt. Lots of beery stuff, no doubt. Yeah, I did. I did some beery and Christmassy stuff over the weekend at the brewery. I did Christmas market, Christmas fair type thing. Slung a load of beers, and then a bit more. That was on Saturday. Then a bit more yesterday, including Christmas quiz. Greetings, Mr. Wilson. Thanks for popping in as always. Hope you had a good weekend and a good start to the new week. Very close to the end of 2024. So I would say thankfully, but I've said that every year for the last 4 anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to go straight in with beer number 1, please. See if I remember to do it this week, as I forgot on last week's show. I was having too much fun chatting away, I guess. But yeah, the first beer up tonight, all beers from the supermarket tonight. I know I don't talk about supermarkets very often, but occasionally I'll wander around a supermarket and see a beer that looks interesting enough, or in this case, get given a beer that was interesting enough to put in a glass and see what I get from it. So this one is from the behemoths now of sour beer up in Edinburgh, Revolt City. It is a peach iced tea table sour, they call it, because it's only 4%, which is kind of quite low for Vault City. They're normally doing big beers, big massive slushy soupy beers, but this one's a very comfortable 4%. Hello, you gorgeous person yourself, Thomas. Thanks for popping in. As I say, hope you've and Sammy also. Hope you all had a good weekend and a good few beers and had a lot of fun. So yeah, this one, a peach iced tea sour. Now iced tea, and I'm not a big fan of peach in beers either. I don't understand cold tea unless it's in beer. I do like a good Earl Grey IPA or something like that. We'll find out what tea this particular variety is as such in a bit, but let's get into the beer anyway. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining, and cheers and enjoy the beers. Oh wow. That is a great aroma. It's very definitely peach. I tell you what it smells like, it's peach yogurts. Definitely a bit of yeah, definitely like old school peach yogurts from the old, plastic yogurt pot from back in the day. Like a kind of juicy tin peach kind of aroma, which might suggest something a little bit that isn't quite pure peach, but you never know. Let's get this down my neck and try. Cheers. Oh, I forgot for a second about the sourness. I was looking for the fruit. But yeah, big peachy notes. Quite a big sour note, really, for only a 4% beer. And I don't know why suddenly my throat has just suddenly decided to snarl up. Do excuse me. Yeah, big peachy notes. But it's definitely kind of tin peaches, a little bit syrupy maybe. Good fruity note. Can't quite get the tea in amongst what is essentially a fairly sour note. Yeah, really nice. Anybody joining me for a beer on a Monday night who's got anything in the glass? It's not compulsory, by the way. I just do like to know what everybody else is drinking. as I drink along and do some live beer reviews, as you know. Yeah, that's really that's got a really good fruit. The aroma helps as well. That kind of, it's fairly sweet, syrupy sort of peach note. This one's in my stash a while. I think it's a couple of months. I think somebody I did see it in Tesco, and I never quite got around to getting it, and then somebody picked it up for me. I think all the beers are from Tesco's, if I remember rightly, not necessarily my own local one. It's actually 3 different Tesco's, actually, as it happens. Oh, well, never mind. You've got a bit. Now. Actually, listen, don't tell anyone. You know how I've got it in for beer mongrel. Can't stand the general company, stuff like that. But I do always say some of their stouts aren't bad and some of their bigger beers aren't bad. I have actually this year drunk a 5 Boroughs barley wine because I was given it. One of my bosses at work doesn't really do darker beers, and he had some in, so he came and gave them. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to talk about it, but I'll drink it. But since you mentioned it, I have had that one. I thought it was all right. I mean, it was like a year or so, 18 months, 2 years old when I drank it the other month. It was all right. It's just one I can put in a glass and not have to really think about or talk about. And here I am thinking about it and talking about it live because you mentioned it. But yeah, that one, yeah, I didn't think it was that bad, to be fair. Like I say, some of their bigger, stronger and darker stuff is alright. I'm just not really interested in most of their hop slop and most of the way the company goes about its business. But there you go, things change, you never know. I said, if I remember right, there was a little bit of controversy when Vault City went into supermarkets because they, as an independent company in Edinburgh, I think they was always fairly against it, or they talked about it, if I remember rightly. But then it comes to us all. Eventually, I guess you kind of have to just go with the flow. So I can't really blame them for going into supermarkets if the money is there. Good man yourself. See, I've got the banner up, and I remember that. I tell you, my brain is Swiss cheese at the moment. It really is. Yeah, so I'll do the photo, but I've kind of enjoyed it and gone straight into it. So yeah, I will do the photo. I bunged the ones up today from the weekend and last week because I just never really got around to it. I do sometimes run out of words, and I am a little bit at the moment running out of words for these beers. You know, even the good ones. I'm like finding adjectives on Instagram, finding other ways to say, yeah, this beer's all right. Not a problem here, I suppose, because I've got a good peach note going on there. I'll tell you what, it does show that it's an interesting beer to talk about because I've gone straight into it. Plenty of lacing on the glass from a fairly low ABV sour. But yeah, thanks for that, Mr. Wilson, as always. Yeah, I've seen people who've done that, and yeah, good luck to them. I haven't got a tattoo anywhere, let alone on my chest, and let alone of beer mongrel. But yeah, apparently you do get a discount. I will get 100% discount. Well, I don't get any discount, but 0% discount because I just don't really go in their bars if I can help it, and I haven't actually been in a beer mongrel bar for a good 5 years. I stood outside one, made somebody else go in. And like I said, I got given some beer mongrel beers, so I drank it. It was all right. Today we are on the first day of missing my Advent reviews, technological problems. Yeah, appreciate yourself and everybody else really doing all these Advent beers. Like I say, I tried it a few years ago and I ran into just time problems as much as technological. I even thought about I was going to maybe store some up, but I thought that was a bit, I don't know if it's a bit fake or not. It's like, it's fair play if that's what you want to do. I'm not against it. But yeah, I just like to do a daily one rather than like, because that's not how Advent works. And I don't really care for Advent and Christmas that much anyway, so I'm not really bothered to doing it. As I say, I've still got far too many beers to get through in the stash. And yet I got through 6 beers last week. And yet there I was this morning browsing Instagram and saw a beer that, just, okay, I know I'm going to buy it. I know full well I shouldn't buy it. I don't need it. It's a perfectly good beer. Probably is a new brewery. I'll talk about that later on in the week, if and when it turns up. From Yorkshire, another new Yorkshire brewery. I'll explain why. It's one of these things that, you know, when you see something, I just need that, I want that, just because these things amuse me, these random connections. But yeah, I shouldn't have got it, but I did. So whatever. Yeah. Also, but bought a bunch of beers that I'm not getting a drink in order to send to someone, which is very nice of me. You know, don't do presents and that, but I can buy people a beer, especially when you've got a new web store to talk about. Yeah, we got merch. Look, for the first time. Well, not the first time. This was the first merch, but that was for a specific fundraiser thing, which I put in for this one. It's actual merch from the brewery and a web shop, and beers available to buy in cans. I'm not here to promote that, and again, talking about beer too much, but yeah, it's kind of a little bit of excitement for a little brewery, I guess. You got the biggest ever selection of beers available on a website. A couple of Christmas beers going on, one of which I've drunk on Saturday night, the Christmas pudding. I didn't review it, I don't think, in the end. I just drank it, and then I don't remember the two previous beers that I did. I put one up this afternoon, this evening, the lump of coal, and I don't really remember drinking it. But that's Shark's fault. Thanks for the great stream, Shark. I know Simo was on there as well. Good evening, Simo. Thanks for popping in. Shark, I just seen you pop in. That's what reminded me. Yeah, there was a hell of a stream on Saturday night, and then we carried on. In fact, on Simo's channel for like the after party. Don't remember much of that either. I remember there was a lot of laughter about something or other, a little bit of shouting, a bit of laughter, and yeah, then I went to bed. It was a good night. It was a good night. I haven't quite dared watch it back. Yeah, you know what, Simo? I was very, very glad that I did not have to open the bar at midday on Sunday, because I was still in bed at that time. And that would have been very, not quite painful. It wasn't like a full-blown, like, stomper of a hangover. I was just a bit groggy, and I wasn't quite ready. Do you know what I mean? But I had to go out there and do the quiz. So yeah, we do a monthly quiz, and I do a monthly quiz now up there. A few people come along, mainly for the infamous cheese round. This week it was cheese or MPs. It was kind of fun. But yeah, Sunday afternoon I managed to only have 1 pint whilst doing the quiz, and it's practically unheard of. You need a pint of well, Dutch courage, as it were, to get through the quiz. Just worrying about whether the questions are any good. Maybe I should do the questions. Does anybody fancy a Christmas quiz? Should I do that at some point before Christmas? Might as well get my money's worth out of it. But yeah, Sunday I did not feel that great. Yeah, was there a Sunday? Yeah, I managed to get through the Sunday, mostly with the help of a bit of food, and a fair amount of water and a good energy drink. Yeah, but exactly, it was a brilliant night. It's, I guess, still there for everybody to see, so I might go and check that out so I can finish that review of Lump of Coal. I remember drinking the two other Ridgeway beers, the Bad Elf and the Very Bad Elf, going back to my roots in more ways than one, not just because of the beer name, the brewery name rather, but also because it was 2 years out of date, nominal, but 7.5% reserve ale, so it was probably going to be okay, and I'm glad it was. It was really nice, little bit of Christmassy spirit, little bit of Christmas spice, that sort of thing. So yeah, it was a good night. Hope everybody else had a great weekend as well. Gone way different and not particularly Christmassy. Maybe the Stout, I suppose, but nothing particular Christmas about this lineup. It's just random stuff I got from the supermarket. Let's have a look at this one. I'm sure everybody else has reviewed this one already because it was out probably a couple of months ago. Oh dear, Disco. It's even worse than I thought, or better depending on which way you want to do it, because it's not. Newsflash, Disco gets the ABV wrong. It is not as I first thought when I saw it this morning, when I was thinking about putting this up. It's not 4%, it's 3.4%. How much 0.5% and a bit makes, how much difference? I don't know. Let me answer that question of you, I suppose. Is it a 4% beer? Well, I suppose with the amount of fruit juice in it, it does mostly just taste like a bit of fruit juice. There is kind of the sourness in it makes it taste a bit alcoholic spirity as well, like a bit more. But yeah, it is. That's probably a hangover cure. Hair of the dog and fruit juice, plenty of vitamin C, which I believe is important in hangover cures. Get some vitamin C in you. Peps you up a bit, maybe, or it does for me anyway. Yeah, so maybe I should have had that Sunday morning instead of the mango flavoured energy drink that I had. Energy drinks don't do a lot for me, particularly caffeine. Can have a coffee and go straight to bed and sleep. Caffeine doesn't generally keep me up particularly. When I was cleaning up, I saw some beers that I don't remember. I remember that I drank those 2 beers, but I don't remember a lot about them. I'm going to have to go back and see if I said anything. My neighbour asked if I had a party and emptied about 10 beers into the recycling the next day. That's just the starter of a party, isn't it? 10 beers? Good stuff. I couldn't tell you what any of you guys were drinking, to be fair. You were quite relaxed, Shock, and started to get lippy. It was enjoyable to watch. Oh dear, some of us were more sober by the looks of it. Right. So this one, sour beer, product of Scotland. Fruited table sour. Our iced tea series, I haven't seen any others in the series if I remember rightly, comes in the form of a super crushable table sour conditioned on sweet juicy peaches and steeped black tea. Wow, okay. Imported to the EU by Hopping Borders, Holland and Paris. Okay, so they do get these beers out and about, which is kind of good to see. Let's have a look on the date. I think it'll be okay. Wow. I mean, it's a sour, so it's a fairly long date, but 24th of the 1st, 2026, it actually says. So I'm all good with this one. But yeah, it's fairly crushable apart from that sour note that is quite, I'd say it's medium to high in the sourness rating. Not that there is a rating of that, but you know, it is quite sour. But it's balanced against the sweetness and the fruit note, to be fair. Yeah, it's good to see people unwind. Unwind in the correct and proper manner with a good beer and all having fun, which we did. Yeah, anybody else had this one? Because I'm sure I've seen a few reviews of it. I don't always watch or read the reviews when I've got the beer. I think it would be generally well received, though. It's a good starter pack or something to put, you know, mid sesh perhaps, just to get that vitamin C in there. Definitely to get get it going really. Yeah, no, it's a really good peach flavour, and if it is conditioned on actual peaches, then fair play, because that does come through. There's nothing particularly artificial about it. Like I say, even though that initial aroma is fairly tinned peaches, doesn't come across particularly kind of syrupy in the taste or particularly kind of tinned peaches. It's just a good peach note. The aroma's still there. Ever so slightly that little bit of vegetal note on the aroma now where it's been sat. It's quite dark, properly hazy. Looks good. Yeah, it's going to take me a while, that one, because of that sour note. It's a little bit too sour for my liking. I prefer something a bit more gentle. I'm not going to look at the Vault City website because I think we looked at that the other day when I was doing that Winter Crumble one. So I don't think it will have changed a lot, and it'll just annoy me. There's a whole other bunch of beers I kind of want to try, but don't actually want to part money for. Even though, like I said, I parted with some money this morning for some beers I don't actually need, but looked good. And I'm not sure I can remember what they are, but they looked okay. And one was Hellas Lager. Oh, hang on. Yeah, hold on. I've just clicked over onto that because I lined them up, and then suddenly realised I don't actually need to look at Vault City. But I'll tell you what they have got, which I didn't see before. Not only have they got that tea cake sour in the style of Tunnocks tea cakes, but they've also got the Tunnocks caramel wafer one, the Imperial Stout. Now that sounds better, obviously. I don't see why the tea cake one needs to be sour. Might as well be a slightly fruity, jammy stout, as opposed to basically, I don't really get a sour version of the tea cake. And I mean, even there's a bit of chocolate in there to balance it out with the sweetness. But yeah, I'm not really sure about that one. Yeah, chocolate jam and marshmallow sour. I mean, it's only $4.50. It's not bad. $8.50 for the caramel wafer. I'm intrigued to try it. I just haven't quite. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Looks good in the glass. Look at that red in the glass in the middle there, that tea cake. But yeah. Yeah, what do you reckon? Tunnocks tea cake sour? That should definitely be a stout, shouldn't it? I don't think it needs to be a sour. I can see the sourness of the jam, but not with the chocolate and the marshmallow. Like, yeah. I'm sure they'll do it great. Has anybody tried that one? It makes much more sense for the caramel wafer one to be a stout. I couldn't see that working so well as a sour, but there you go. Might try the Impy if I found out. But yeah, if I see it in a bottle shop, I might. I mean, I did that Trembling Madness order last week, and I had to keep it down to like 50 quid just to get some Christmas beers in. Of which you could argue that one would be a Christmas beer. It's kind of, chocolatey for Christmas, isn't it? But yeah, I was sort of like trying to keep it down, buying far too many beers. But I knew I could pick up those Ridgeway beers for the weekend, so it was like a Thursday morning. I think I put the order in. I'm like, yeah, do it, whatever. And I put a few others on that I needed, and I put the cider one, didn't I? Wild Disco Cider. I've got a bunch of disco beers. I keep meaning to do. Well, I normally do them before Christmas. I say I've still got the videos to put up from the previous two disco days I did in January and July of this year. So I've got a lot of work to be getting on with and need time to do it. But I'm going to pick a day over the holidays, probably. Holidays. Not that I have holidays as such, but yeah, I'll pick a day and just kind of bash them out. And I've got a big bottle of whiskey barrel aged cider called Highland Disco as well, just because it's there, isn't it? I don't need it, but it just goes in the collection. It's always good to have something else in the collection other than beers. Kind of amuses me. Like I say, I put a hashtag on all the time. These things amuse me because, well, I don't know, whiskey barrel aged cider. Why not? Why not? Just got disco in the name. I'm probably going to try and get it. But yeah, so I wasn't going to go around putting Vault City beers on as well. Be too much. And then the other day I was given a couple of beers. I don't need, but I'll try them. They're pale ales, but and then my mate sent me up from Cornwall a bottle of his dark Pilsner. Which is good. I like my darker beers. He knows that. So yeah, the other one didn't make it sadly, but yeah, I'm gonna say thanks to him. Might do a video about that. Homebrew, basically homebrew, which I haven't done a lot of really. Reviewing other people's beers. I Whether or not that works, I might do the video on it and see if it works out. I'm sure the beer will be good, but whether my video will be, even though I haven't done a video for two months, as I keep saying. But if I keep saying it, I might actually get around to actually bleeding doing it, rather than the relative ease of bunging up 3 beers on a live show, which I kind of prefer, because it's just, yeah, warts and all. This kind of keeps it real, if I hate that expression, but yeah, it keeps it real, keeps it honest. I don't have to sit around doing too many edits. Even then, I still edit out the first bit where it's like I put 2 minutes on just to get the stream going, and as a little introduction to the show. Then I go and edit out the 2 minutes afterwards. Don't know. There's arguments for and against that, but still I do it. So in the morning, I'll edit out the first 2 minutes of this stream. And apologies if you've already watched it. I can't do it until afterwards. Right, so of course that's quite heavy going. On the sour note, the peach flavour is good, but the sour note is a little bit testing. I'm getting used to sours. They're not my favourite, but I like it a bit more balanced. It is balanced enough, but I like it a bit more balanced towards the fruit in a sour. So I'm going to move on in the traditional way to beer number 2, please. And beer number 2. So again, probably a beer you wouldn't necessarily expect me to be drinking, but it's from a collaboration between a Northern Monk and newcomers who are highly thought of, Floc, down in Sussex, Hampshire, down the south coast somewhere. It's called Cosmic Fog and 7% Hazy IPA. Again, you may have seen them in Tesco's. I think I picked this one up in Tesco's in Croydon, well, Purley, because I was out that way picking something up. So let's get this into the glass and do the photograph so that we can remember what it is. Well, it's a very light, kind of lemony straw coloured pale ale. She's very, very pale, and indeed nicely hazy, if you like that sort of thing. And I'm getting used to it. Looks much brighter orange on camera, which is fair enough. But yeah, it's much more lemony, light yellow to the naked eye here. But it's Northern Monk. What can you expect? Although a lot of people, I think it splits fairly 50-50 on Northern Monk these days in supermarket beers. Whatever's been sitting on the shelf. I'm on the fence on it. I just pick up beers I want to drink, and hopefully they're any good. I don't think Northern Monk are terrible, but we all know what you get when you go in a supermarket. Like I say, Floc though, relative newcomers. Yeah, that's it. Good. Yeah, Floc, relative newcomers. I had a couple of their beers. Again, because I've got one in with Disco in the name. Is that coming up, or did I do that in the summer? I can't remember. Let's have a little look. So yeah, I remembered it. Thanks for reminding, but I do remember it. Tom, good evening. Thank you very much indeed for dropping in. Dreadful Xmas beers this year. What's the problem? I don't know. I mean, the ones I got to say, I wasn't really going to do them that much, but the ones I got in over the weekend is from a tried and tested, fairly traditional brewery in 500ml bottles called Ridgeway. I thought they were good. I think, again, they sort of split opinion because they're not really craft, but they're kind of some decent beers. And I think the people we were drinking with on the stream didn't have some great selection choices, but the ones I bought last week, I think the cans, what did I get? I got an elusive one. I got one that wasn't a Christmas beer. I mean, I think it's fairly easy, really. It's just a spiced stout is all you really need. I'm not that bothered about Christmas, so I just drink any beer. You know, I mean, Christmas Day doesn't mean a lot to me. It's just a Thursday. No, is it Thursday this year? Can't even remember. So it's just another week. For a long time, it's Christmas holidays is just a week of not getting paid. because of my job situation, but that's just one of them things. That's my choice. But yeah, Christmas beers is something I get more excited about than everything else. Mostly because you got like Christmas cake stouts, Christmas pudding stouts, as I was drinking at the weekend. Available now, farewellbrewery.com, blah blah blah. I'm not in sales, but I do like talking about it. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, not a Christmas beer today. Cosmic Fog, very 70s kind of Christmas. Not quite Christmas, but yeah, very 70s note on the can. Loving the can art. Looks good. 7%, so a hefty hazy IPA. What did I put? Oh, yeah, I thought I put hazy pale ale when I put hazy IPA. Let's have a sniff. Well, it smells like an IPA. It smells like an IPA should, but that always worries me because it's got that kind of hop note that suggests I'm in for a mouthful of grapefruit. I'm gonna say there's some. I haven't read. There's probably some New Zealand hops in there, either Nelson or Motueka, but I think there's a bit of Citra as well. I picked it up because I enjoyed the Floc beers that I had from Floc, and it looks like a fairly solid IPA. It's, it was in Tesco's and in their range, but at 7%, it's going to be, I think, or I hope, a fairly solid. It's more lilt. It's more on the lilt end of grapefruit and not quite pineapple, like grapefruit and tropical. But let's have a look. Cheers. Nah, it's grapefruit. Now, don't get me wrong, I say this all the time, doesn't mean it's a bad beer. It's just not my thing. Although the head retention is quite frankly average at best. You can still see a little bit on there, but on the top there's no domage or nothing. There's no fluffy white head, which is a surprise because the Floc beers I had, I think, were pretty good. If I move them now. That one I had two of, the 2 Flints one. 2 Flints and Floc, 8% dipper. That was pretty good, soft and pillowy and fluffy. So I was surprised about that because I thought there was a big hop content in that, and they talked a lot about not thios, the other ones and stuff like that. So I wonder if there's anything in a little bit of this in this one. There's a little bit of a fizz to it. Yeah, it's one stage on from lilt. And I was only occasionally a big lilt fan, not really particularly. So there's quite a bit of grapefruit going on. Cosmic Adventure. See the word cosmic. The word cosmic, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, the word cosmic is now forever associated with Only Fools and Horses because Rodney used to say, yeah, cosmic, they are cosmic. So it's a bit of a negative thing now, cosmic for me. It's not the exciting, oh, that's cosmically, like stratospherically amazing. It's like, yeah, cosmic, which is a little bit my thoughts on this beer already. But step into the fog for a super hazy, super juicy IPA. Well, to be fair, it is juicy. It is hazy and it is juicy, just more grapefruit juice than I want. Fresh from North, even though they don't spell it right, they spell it the southern way. Disappointing. Don't tell you the hops. That's annoying. Very annoying. Yeah, I suppose because that's a supermarket thing. They don't necessarily need to. Bare minimum, innit? What does it say? I know it's all right. 3rd of the 8th, 25. So, like I say, well in date these beers. It's. I mean, say that one, the double IPA. I smashed through that one. That was really nicely balanced against other fruits, against the grapefruit. There was a little bit of grapefruit in it, but was there oats in this? There was in that one. Barley. No, it does say oats. doesn't feel like there's a lot of oats in it because it's not particularly soft and pillowy. It's quite touch rough around the edges like grapefruit, I think is. It's tried the Northern Monk Timothy Taylor. No, I haven't. I kind of want to because two good breweries, Timothy Taylor. I like their stuff. I think mainly because I haven't gone looking for it. It was probably on Trembling Madness the other day. I don't quite want it enough. If I see it, I might pick it up. But yeah, I want to like it, and I think it'll be great. It's kind of obviously a really unusual one. Like Timothy Taylor don't really do anything other than their beers. Very rarely do a collab, I think. So yeah, if I see it about, I will. I think. Again, say I'm just buying too many beers, too much random beers. Again, I bought 6 this morning I don't actually need, just wanted. But yeah, I think other people have. Let me know if you have tried that Timothy Taylor Northern Monk collab. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I know the one you mean, and I do want to. It's a sort of nice. It's nice that they do that. It's good, you know what I mean. It's like that to get that kind of transition from traditional brewery to a bit of craft. Even though I don't really entertain the term craft beer, it's all craft beer to me. But yeah, away from that slightly more traditional kind of Timothy Taylor beer kind of note. Yeah, I say Northern Monk. I'm not like a Northern Monk fanboy particularly. I don't, rush out again because they just got too much. They're just pumping out beer after beer, variation on a theme, and then keeping up the supermarket contract as well. I find it a bit difficult. So I did say like last year I wasn't going to really talk about supermarket beers that much. But when you've got such availability and such strong contenders, I mean, Vault City's good in it, but Northern Monk well thought after. And if I'm going to do the I haven't had a vocation for a while, but I've got the vocation sours in there that I picked up again one by one and never got round to doing. And then you get the vocation one that's gone a little bit too far the other way. That's just, I don't mind the sweetness, but they're not necessarily as good as they used to be. So yeah, I did say I was going to do less supermarket beers, but I still get tempted. It's still just too easy, isn't it? Really, far too easy. I did stand in front of him the other day. We had a conversation. Rob from Bramall's Backroom Brewery as was on there and saying about if your palate's changed, if you're liking grapefruit a bit more, maybe you should try like the Oakham Citra. And I did stand in front of the trad bottles and go, well, for a £5, like I could get Oakham Citra, Ghost Ship, and maybe Broadside, and maybe a few others, and do like a video or live on it. And I'm like, yeah, that can wait till next year because they're probably going to be there. Hopefully, as long as everything's all good in that department. Because they're regulars, but I should go back and revisit that kind of thing. Whether I do or not is another matter. No, it's a good beer. It's how beer is meant to be. It doesn't really feel like 7%, to be fair. It's quite lighter than that. It's a bit like one of those session IPAs you get in a beer 52 box that's just been banged in. That's all the same as the others, really. There's definitely Citra in there. I suspect Nelson and Mochiraca. I don't know if you can actually look these up anywhere. Should we see if we can find out? Let's see. I didn't bother loading up the Northern Monk website because I didn't think there'd be anything useful on it, apart from more beers that I don't really want to buy. Cosmic Fog. Glad I haven't shared this because you see my terrible spelling. Let's have a look. I'm kind of interested to know just what's in it. I prefer it in breweries put it on there, so don't have to go looking for it because I'm quite lazy. But It's on there. Okay, might be able to find this. See, £4 on the website. I'm sure it's. Am I right in thinking it's £3.50 in the supermarket? I really should note it down or something if I'm actually going to be talking about it, but I never know if I am or not. For soup, I think it's just going to be the same stuff. There we go. More product details. No. Brew sheet. That's not a brew sheet. That is not a brew sheet. It's a list of ingredients: water, malted barley, wheat, oats, hops, yeast. Yeah, it's not a brew sheet because it's not telling you actually what's in there. Shrouded with juicy, hoppy flavors. Yeah. Yeah. So even on the website, they don't tell you what's in it, which I find really, really annoying. She may also like. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's have a quick look. See as we're here. No, all beers. There you go. Even that pastry stout is something I would normally like, but like at 6.40, I'm like, yeah, it's just a pastry stout. It's like, if they don't tell you what's in it. October Rust. What's that? Don't know what that is. And there's all kinds of weird bottles that they do. I'm not paying 32 quid for a massive bottle of. I don't care how good it's going to be. It's not going to be 32 quid's worth of good. What's all this mad shit on here? I thought I'd looked at the wrong website. They got all sorts of mad crap on here, man. Just like they're pumping out some beers. There's not even in there. Are they selling other beers? They've got Mortalis on there. So they're actually selling like other. So they've just imported a bunch of beers or something. So they've got Mills on there. I've never had a Mills beer, but probably because it's 12 quid a bowl. But it's supposed to be really, really good. But how much good is it better is it going to be? So they've got a bunch of other beers on their website, which is really weird. How much are they going to sell when they've got so much of their own stuff? That Dark Fruits IPA, I wouldn't mind trying, but I bet it'd be an utter gash and a bit disappointing. But who knows? Let me know if you tried that one. That green one I want to get, but if that's still on there come St. Patrick's Day, because I like green beers. But yeah, I'd probably buy that for £3. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, I was going to see if that one that Tom mentioned was on there. Yeah, really disappointing in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's like further you get from that independence and the further you get from that base starting point, sort of end up flooding the website with massive beers and maybe just, scrimp on the detail a little bit. That's not a bad thing necessarily. I'm just sort of a bit meh about it. Always good to get a counterpoint, Tom. 100% craft beer skeptic, but Northern Monk are fantastic. Quality is dipped, no doubt. There you go. But I appreciate costs of being cut. Also trying to broaden their sales. That's the trouble, though. That's the trouble. When you start being sales driven as opposed to beer driven, you do end up with that little drop. And I'm not saying Northern Monk are particularly. There's still the quality there for sure. I'm not saying this is a bad beer. It's just not really my favourite. I'm going to have to go and put some lemonade in this to finish it, just to bring that citrus note back to lemon. That's probably frowned upon in craft beer, shandying like a 7% IPA. But it's just, even in trad beers where you've got that flavour component of probably Citra, maybe Galaxy, perhaps. I just don't like drinking grapefruit, so that's not really in for me. But Northern Monk have been fantastic. Wherever they currently are is not for me to say because I probably don't drink enough of their beers apart from the supermarket offering. There's just so much. I mean, people say about it's craft beer peaked. I don't think it has. I think it's still cresting. If anything, it's still on top. But it's like I mean. I do love you. Can we still? Of course we can. Friends in beer. That's all we need. Chat about beer. have a slurp. Even on a Monday night. I'm doing Monday night drinking, so you guys don't have to. How kind of me is that? And I'm drinking big grapefruity hop slops. That I don't really. I'm going back to it. I'm just trying to find something else in grapefruit in it. Yeah, I'm annoyed. If anybody knows the hop makeup of this, do let me know, because I'm kind of interested to know whether I'm right or not. I think it's Citra Galaxy and probably like Nelson and what Jamaica maybe, but I'm really not into it. I say I don't think it's a bad beer. It's reasonably balanced, but only in favour of grapefruit. I'm going to go back and finish it, but it's going to take me a little bit longer than it needs to on a stream. And I've run out of things to say about it because all I've got is the word a bit too grapefruity. The word's a bit too grapefruity. Because I like to do the things in freeze, I want to get onto actually reviewing and picturing the third beer, and then I'll probably go back after the event. Now I've got grapefruit burps, which isn't unpleasant, but it's not my thing really. Grapefruit burps are better than drinking actual grapefruit juice, grapefruit beers, but yeah, I don't really need to be reminded but how much I don't like grapefruit that much really. I'm getting there. I'm getting better, like we said probably the other day, but yeah, it's too soon. But it is time now for beer number 3, please. Now, I'm much safer territory here with beer number 3. Even albeit a supermarket. It's another 7% one. It's another one out of Yorkshire. It's from Salt Beer Factory. I haven't really seen around that much. I haven't seen anything particularly new from them recently. So I don't mind picking their stuff up. Again, they've got a lot of kind of like paler hop ales that even their session stuff I was not massively fussed about. I did like their stout, the Hessian, wasn't it? So maybe this is going to be okay. It's a collaboration apparently with a company called Viviar Tequilla, which is apparently the foremost producer of Mexican tequila. Not a big fan of tequila particularly, apart from occasional spirit drinks. I could have a long conversation about tequila rosé, which is a beautiful strawberry milkshake shot that I've had a lot of fun with in the years, as recently as last Saturday night. Right, let's get this in the glass and then do the photograph. Don't let me forget the photo on this one. I'm going with the bowl glass because that's the kind of favoured one for big stouts. It's pouring fairly thin. I can see through that kind of brown Coca-Cola like thing, but it's bubbling into the glass well with a reasonable head, but I do expect that head to dissipate fairly quickly, so which reminds me to crack straight on with the photograph so we can get through it. Putting the laptop down. Like the artwork on this one, looks all a bit kind of dramatic and arty and what's the word? Well designed. Fantasy kind of artwork. There we go. I try not to be too picky about the photos now. They generally work out all right. Yeah, that's good enough for the Instagram. It's pretty much in focus. Like I say, I expected the head to dissipate, and it has slightly. There's not a lot of domage. It's not a big fluffy pillowy head. There's some big bubbles in it, which is again hey Jimmy. Yeah, I managed this time. Always remind me. You're doing good work. You're doing sterling work, reminding me of the photo, because I will forget like I did last week. I'm not sure about this hat. It's good. It's proper warm, but it's one of those. I prefer a hat that does that. What does anybody else think about merch? But it's got a turn up. But when I turn it up, it doesn't cover my ears. Apparently, it's called a fisherman's hat, a fisherman's beanie or something. But yeah, if I'm a fisherman, I'm out in the cold in the wind, I want it down like that. So I want the logo on the front. it's a perennial discussion we have at the brewery about the difference over design and practicality. And I find myself always moaning about stuff. And I'm sorry, Mike, I just offer my opinion. You know, I'm not short of an opinion or two. Sometimes I keep it to myself. Sometimes I don't. Well, nothing if not consistent. And I'm consistent in my dislike of beer mongrel, so much so I can't even say the name properly, although I believe I'm saying it properly because it's much more reflective of the company. Beer mongrel, twist and shout, a tequila barrel-aged stout. Well, how appropriate! How appropriate! It's the battle of the tequila stouts. This is, I think, coffee and tequila. Like I say, Viviar is supposedly the foremost tequila producer in Mexico. The old agave liquid. So I don't really go around drinking tequila. I've done my time with tequila shots, you know, the old salt and lemon and all that business. But I'm not 25 anymore. So yeah, tequila rosé is my thing. I like a little bit of milkshake based drink. That head is fairly well dissipated now. Slight blockage in the nose now, 3/4 of the way through. Whoa. Despite that, there's a big kind of espresso coffee note. I don't really know espresso because I don't drink espresso. I prefer a much milkier coffee, but that's all right. There's a little, yeah, they describe it as a coffee liqueur stout. Don't mind a coffee liqueur. Like I say, any time I want cold coffee is in alcohol. I don't really understand iced coffees and that. But there's a little note there to it. Yeah, it's mostly just coffee. There's no real spirity note to it. Let's dive in and see what we get. Cheers. Enjoy the beers. Because I don't really go around drinking neat tequila, I don't think ever. Maybe I've done a shot of tequila neat at some time. Don't really know what tequila tastes like, so I don't really know where it is in there. It does give a kind of spirity edge. There's a little bit of maybe aniseed. I know that's a different spirit, aniseed, but it feels like a little bit of aniseed. I'm not a big fan of aniseed particularly, but there's definitely an edge to it. I mean, it's quite a big beer. It's 7%. It's not a smooth, milky coffee. I generally prefer like a cafe creme or something. Although, like I said about Vocation, they go a little bit too sweet on it. I've never found a too sweet beer. There is no sweetness to this particularly. It's mostly coffee. It tastes a bit of roasted malt notes, so it's not too bad. But yeah, there's a developing spirity edge. So I think it is kind of coffee liqueur-esque. There's a touch of dark bit of chocolate about it, but there's no sweetness to it. There's no sweet chocolate to kind of balance it out. Well, that's the thing, yeah. Most folks shot tequila rather than sip it. And I would say 90 odd% of that shot in tequila involves salt and lemon, so you don't actually have to taste the tequila. But I know there is a whole big section, and probably somewhere on YouTube there's a whole section of people that mezcal. Mezcal is a thing that goes. Is it mezcal or agave? I don't know. I've seen. I say a friend of mine who works in the whiskey industry also has a side interest in tequila, so often talks about that separately. But I don't really know enough. But yeah, I imagine tequila doesn't taste that great, so you have to hide it with salt and lemon. And that's mostly the only way I remember doing it traditionally. So I don't quite know what I'm getting here tequila wise. There's sort of, it's mostly coffee, helped by that aroma. It's good coffee, don't get me wrong. But there's a sort of spirity edge, but it's not like a big spirity barrel-aged edge, I don't think, particularly. There's a little bit of slight cloying dryness, which I think kind of represented by the spirit, really, because you often get that, you know, that big hit of alcohol. It kind of dries out the tongue and the palate a little bit. Let's see what they got to say about it. By the way, barley, oats, wheat, agave, coffee beans, hops and yeast. Can't imagine there's much hops in it, but don't need it for the flavouring, maybe for the bittering. Okay, so it says, we are Salt, named after pioneering industrialists who built the textile mill village we first called home. Saltaire in West Yorkshire. But on the same built on the same progressive values as our hometown, innovation and adventure are woven into the fabric of all we do. We create great craft beer for everyone and do it our way. It's in our nature. Every brewery says something like that, but that's fair enough. They're not entirely wrong. Pure decadence in a can. No, it's not decadence. For me, decadence suggests a silky, smooth, say more milky, more latte kind of thing. It's hard to do quality. I mean, it probably is the best tequila and probably is the best coffee. I don't know, but it's not decadent and luxurious like silk, you know. It's not silky smooth. It's not rough as beans, but it's just a kind of, yeah, it's very neat coffee, very neat tequila kind of thing. And it goes on to say, introducing the cafe stout, silky and sweet. That is not silky. That's not a bad thing. It's just a bad description. I don't think it's that sweet either. The stout was inspired. It's sticky in a way, but only sticky in the way that coffee is. You know, spill a bit of coffee and it kind of sticks to the countertop. Silky and sweet. This stout is inspired by our favorite Mexican coffee liqueur. Everybody should have a favorite Mexican coffee liqueur, surely. Technically, this is now because it's the only one I've tried. I'm being very cynical tonight. Sorry. Huh? Loaded with locally roasted coffee beans and a seriously smooth malt bill. I'm still not going with smooth particularly. A luxurious collaboration with our friends at Viviar Tequilla. Apologies for the pronunciation. Expect the taste of authentic Mexican agave in perfect harmony with classic coffee bitterness. Sip it, don't slam it. Yeah, well, that's fair enough. It is definitely a sipper because it's a big beer and it has got that spirity kind of note. Viviar produce a range of super premium tequilas at the most awarded distillery in Jalisco, Mexico, for product quality and taste. They select the best and sweetest Weber Blue agave and use local Mexican Arabica coffee beans to create the finest coffee liqueur you will ever drink. So it's not just about the tequila, you got Mexican coffee beans in there as well. Bear with me a second. Again, I'm no more of a coffee connoisseur than I am a tequila connoisseur, so I will believe them at the best. I'm not agreeing with Salt that that's silky smooth. I mean, it's like I say, it's not rough. There is a sort of smoothness to it, but because you've got that kind of coffee bitterness, that kind of spirity bitterness, there's a little bit of like wafery biscuit note, obviously from the malt, sort of like coffee biscuit, like yeah, a touch of hazelnut maybe. Like you get that, you know, really thin wafer biscuit layered with coffee or chocolate, cream, which is not bad. But again, I wouldn't describe that as necessarily smooth. It's got that kind of wafery biscuit edge to it. Very much, definitely a sipper. I could spend all night on it, I think. But it has got that kind of drying note to it that I don't particularly like, that kind of bitter, chocolate bitteriness, like kind of raw coffee or raw cocoa beans. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I just, yeah. With a coffee liqueur, again, unless it is like proper silky smooth on its own. I tend to do cocktails, milk-based cocktails, if I'm going to do a cocktail. So I want something like a coffee liqueur, and then just top it up with some, like, something else and a bit of milk to make like a long alcoholic milkshake. So I'm totally fine with that, and that would work. I mean, that's probably as much as I'm saying I am going to put lemonade in this IPA to get through it after the event. But yeah, probably putting coffee liqueur in a long glass with ice and milk is probably frowned upon. I've no idea. I have no idea because I'm not an expert in that field, but it works well enough in beer. It is nice, but I do prefer the creamier, softer, more velvety stout, and I don't really think that is. It's quite thin. As I always say, a lot of people moan about stouts being thin. Stouts don't have to be thick and voluptuous like a Guinness or whatever, or like a milk stout. They can be thin because the stout comes from the darker malts, the roasted malts, and that has definitely got this in there because it's got that coffee roasty note and stuff like that. So I'm not against it being thin necessarily. I think that when I had that Pomona Island one, which is arguably could be my beer of the year because it was a superb stout, the cardamom stout. Doris gets her oats, but that had oats in it, so it was probably a bit smoother, but it was quite thin, but it was smooth and kind of more silky than this. I was comparing beers to other beers, but yeah, I think it's nice. It's definitely really sippable. It's got a good coffee note. Yeah, it's just kind of a touch of slightly cloying, suggests a bit of it's that hop that always has that they always use for coconut, but I always find a bit just dry in a dry stout. Not Simcoe, the other one. Yeah, Simcoe. So I think there might be a bit of bitter and hops in there to give it that kind of slightly dry bitteriness. But it's one I'm gonna, I think also it is quite cold in here, so once it warms up, maybe I don't need it cold. It's not been in the fridge, it's just been out in the stash. So Sabro, that's the one, not Simcoe. Sabro, yeah, I feel there might be a little bit of Sabro in this because it's got that kind of slightly drying, slightly cloying, sort of coconutty note, coconut husk note. I like that chocolate wafer kind of note, a bit of hazelnut maybe. So sort of the drying bitter side of nut flavors, woodiness maybe. Yeah, Sabro, that's the one. Yeah, I don't dislike it. It's nice. It's probably a share. It's probably one you could shot just to get that tequila note, and you'd be fine, and then move on. Again, that's probably a bad thing to say about the premium liqueur that it is, but there you go. Yeah. So I guess in conclusion, 3 perfectly drinkable supermarket beers. Not necessarily smashable ones for me. Even the middle one. Something you could, any of these are ones you can just pick up and like, only because I'm reviewing them that I'm thinking about them, but they're all ones you can just pick up and not necessarily think about too much. Say this one, much more of a sip of the stout. The middle one, if you like that kind of IPA, that grapefruit note, that's easily smashable, but just not really for me. That one's more one to think about. It's more of a long drink, even at 3.4%. It's a table beer, but it's one to. It's got a little bit more sourness, as I say, but 3, perfectly reasonable beers from the supermarket. I think they're all around the £3.54 mark. Even this one, I think, it's got a lot more in it. So, yeah, these are all from Tesco's, I believe, in various guises. Just for completeness, let me see if I can find the date on this one, because I think more so than ever I've done 3 completely in-date beers on the show tonight, which I'm sure Shark will be pleased about. Yeah, September 2025. So these have all been brought in the last couple of months, and for once I've done an in-date beer selection. Say compared to Saturday when the beer was 4 years old. I think it was definitely a very long date on it because it was 7.5%. But yeah, it was 2 years out of date, nominally out of date, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, our normal service will be resumed later in the week, probably if I do some more beers. Maybe do one tomorrow night. I'm not sure. I think I've got to go to work on Wednesday, so I've got a couple lined up. Again, all three on a various theme, so we'll see. Tuesday, Wednesday, and or Thursday, maybe I could do one each night if I get it myself arranged. But I've got a lot of other stuff to do this week. But yeah, that's been Monday Club. Hope you've all enjoyed chatting about beers, as it were. Thanks everybody for popping in as ever, Mr. Wilson for the reminders and for joining me with a beer. Hope your tequila one's all right. How's your tequila? How's your tequila stout going from Beer Mungle? Apologies for a bit of moaning about Beer Mungle, but it's going to happen. Yeah, so yeah, cheers as always. And as I say, always enjoy the beers. I'm going to go back and revisit these and think about what I'm going to post on Instagram tomorrow. Might even do the write-ups if I get time. And then I'm going to look around YouTube. I might even go back and see what utter rubbish I spoke on Saturday night on Shark stream. Check that out. It'll still be there. And indeed on Simo stream on the after party. So yeah, Shark Home Brewing and Simo. If you're new around these parts and don't also follow them as well, go and have a look. Simo Sups and Shark Home Brewing. And there we go. Nice taste. Would prefer if it had a thicker body. Yeah, that's what I'm saying about this one. I think probably with the tequila in there, that will reduce the thickness of the body. That generally tends to kind of, if you put any other kind of barrel aging or spirity notes, unless you put loads of oats. Did I say oats on this one? Let me just check. Yeah, it has got oats. I don't think it'll be that much, but yeah, there we go. 3 decent enough beers. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, join me next time. If you're watching after the event, after the live, and you're still watching to this point, thank you very much indeed. Please comment below what beers you've been drinking to watch along, because the algorithm loves all the interaction and it helps, and we can drink along and watch along again at some other point or every day this week if I get around to it. Watch out for the notifications. Please click the like and subscribe and click the bell and all that, and we'll join you for a beer again at some point. No, I don't. You need to try tequila when you get the chance. Well, yeah, maybe. We shall see. On that note, I'm going to go away and think about that and finish these 3 beers. Join us again soon. And in the meantime, cheers and enjoy the beers.